Hello everyone, welcome back to 3 News Now. Today is Monday, February 7th. I'm Stephanie Haney here with your top stories from WKYC.com and our WKYC app. Just a reminder, if this is your first time here, how this show works is these are the stories that you all are clicking on, the stories that you are reading, the most read stories on WKYC.com and our app right now. So we'll start off with an update about a previously suspended Cleveland officer. He has now been convicted of gross sexual imposition. That's suspended Cleveland police officer Matthew Piter. That was announced today. It was a bench trial, so that means a trial conducted by the judge, not a jury. Also found not guilty of rape. These charges stem from two separate incidents with two separate women, one in 2017, another in 2019. Now, if you're wondering what's the difference between rape and gross sexual imposition, the difference is this. Rape requires some form of overt sex act. Gross sexual imposition does not. It requires a touching when accompanied by force, threat of force, the use of drugs or alcohol, for example, could be one of those things. Now, the two women who accused Piter of these things spoke, and they did identify themselves. So we will say their names here only because they chose to identify themselves. Lauren Little, her accusation dated back to 2017 and stemmed from a date that the two had agreed to go on by use of a dating app. And also Ashley Spencer, and her allegation against him stemmed from 2019. She said at dinner that it was noticeable that he was trying to get her to drink more, and then from that point they had taken an Uber back to his home in the West Park neighborhood, and that's when things took a turn for the worse. According to her, she said that she would say no, and he repeatedly still did what he wanted to do, resulting in the charge being convicted of gross sexual imposition. Now, Piter has maintained his innocence throughout. He'll be sentenced on February 28th at 9:30 a.m. Now, here's a reminder for you. Once he's sentenced, he will be considered a convicted felon, and as such will not be able to legally carry a firearm, so therefore will not be able to carry out the roles of a police officer. We'll continue to have updates on this as they become available on WKYC.com. Now, over the weekend, it was a very scary situation for 18 people who were stranded on an ice floe. And if you're wondering what an ice floe is, that is a floating sheet of ice. Yes, a floating sheet of ice. It broke off on Lake Erie, and the United States Coast Guard had to save the people who were there. What they were doing was they were snowboarding, and that's when they floated off on the water. A Coast Guard helicopter just happened to be flying over Lake Erie and spotted the group. So the helicopter was able to get 7 of the 18 people. The rest of the group was rescued by a Coast Guard airboat and a Good Samaritan. Now, none of those people needed medical attention, thankfully. All rescued, all 18 of them. Now, speaking of snow and ice, we did have that winter storm last week. You couldn't miss it. We were talking about it. You all were talking about it, sharing your photos and your pictures and your videos, talking about all that snow and ice adding up. And it was during a 3-hour meeting today on Monday morning that the Cleveland City Council decided that they needed to have some conversation about the snow removal plan here in Cleveland. Now, Mayor Justin Bibb had previously said that he had inherited a broken system and needed to make changes, and it is clear that Cleveland City Council's Municipal Service and Properties Committee thinks that those changes still needs more work. Cleveland's chief operating officer said it doesn't sound like the city's plan is good enough to plow and salt every street in the city within 72 hours of a storm event. Now, in addition to delays, council members also talked about other snow cleanup issues, including the live tracker map, which apparently had some glitches, led to some confusion among residents, not necessarily always accurate. Also talking about a tweet from the City of Cleveland's official Twitter account. That account said that 94% of the city's residential plowing services had been done by 10 a.m. on Saturday, February 5th. That's more than 2 days after the storm has started. Also concerns about the city's call center. It wasn't able to be staffed sufficiently. It's supposed to have 7 employees, but only 2 were able to make it in. A supervisor actually helped answer calls as well. Again, Mayor Bibb has said he inherited a broken system that does need significant overhaul and investment, and what we are hearing today is that needs to be done more so. Now, it's a big year here, a big election year in Northeast Ohio, and there's debates that have been set for March 28th and 29th. This is for the Ohio primary. That primary is coming up in May. The primary election is on May 3rd. of note are that Governor Mike DeWine will be seeking re-election, and it's also a big race for the U.S. Senate as Rob Portman is retiring, so won't be seeking re-election for that seat. So this will be happening in southwest Ohio, just outside of Xenia. It'll be on the 28th for the Senate candidates, and the gubernatorial debate will be on March 29th. The format and the moderators will be set later, and tickets will also be released at a later date. As soon as we know that information, we'll share that with you. Now let's take a look at the latest COVID-19 numbers in from the Ohio Department of Health. Good news, we're seeing a decline in both cases and hospitalizations. Love to be able to tell you that. So in the last 24 hours, there have been 2,594 new reported COVID-19 cases. The total confirmed number of COVID-19 deaths is now at 34,217. The total number of people in the hospital being treated for COVID right now is 3,054, and out of that, 624 of them are being treated in the ICU. Now, different medical news. Here's good news potentially for young children that have hearing issues because of craniofacial abnormalities. When we talk about the cranium, you're talking about the part of the skull that encloses the brain, and then also those facial skeleton aspects. So University Hospitals Cleveland Medical Center and UH Rainbow Babies and Children's Hospitals will be participating in a Cleveland trial, the first one to implant a hearing device in children ages 5 to 11 years old who have these abnormalities. Now, the reason this is important is because these kinds of abnormalities can cause a child to be born without a fully formed external ear or with an underdeveloped ear canal. And what that means is that leads to hearing loss in both of those cases. Now, there is a way to work around it. There is an implant that does exist, and it's currently FDA cleared for children ages 12 and older, not for children ages 5 to 11. But one doctor has pointed out that with this type of hearing loss, children need to be treated younger than age 12, because in this study they have found that that is very important, that hearing period for the formative development of those children. So in this study, they're seeking to confirm the effectiveness and safety for children ages 5 to 11. It will be a real game changer. UH is expected to enroll 5 to 10 patients this year. Hopefully, happening this year will be a Major League Baseball season, and the Cleveland Guardians are taking an optimistic approach. They are plowing ahead. They have announced when tickets will go on sale, and could maybe be a Valentine's gift for the special someone in your life, because they will go on sale on Monday, February 14th. That includes the home opener against the Kansas City Royals on March 31st. That is coming up very quickly, so they really need to get those ducks in a row when it comes to the Major League Baseball lockout situation. So February 14th at 10 a.m., and if you have purchased season tickets and flex voucher plans, you'll get early access to opening day tickets. Also, they've announced the full promotional calendar. So bobbleheads, t-shirts, jersey giveaways, dollar dog night, traditional fireworks. Here's one that I'm taking a look at. June 25th, that's when you can get a Guardians jersey, courtesy of Sherwin-Williams. That's the first 12,500 fans through the gate. Also fireworks and $2 pregame drinks in the district. That's presented by Miller Lite. So lots of stuff like that. We've got it all laid out on WKYC.com. Make sure you check that out. And if you stayed up late last night watching the Olympics, you know that Rocky River native Red Gerard did not get a medal. He finished in 4th place, had a couple tricky runs, and wasn't able to do it. Now, he had taken gold at the 2018 Pyeongchang Games, but finished in 4th this time. Still very proud of you. Congratulations on that Olympic finish in 4th place, Red Gerard. Wish you would have got the gold. We know you do too. But great effort, great performance there. Now, figure skating, hugely popular. It is the most watched event in the Winter Olympics, one of the most watched events. You might be concerned about or might be confused about what you're seeing when you're watching figure skating. There's the axel, there's the lutz, flips, loops, salchos, and toe loops. These are all different types of jumps, and if you want to know what you're watching, it all has to do with the position of the takeoff foot, the position of the foot that you take off on. So there are, there's the blade down the center, so there are edges. You can take off on the outer edge or the inner edge. There's also the toe pick that you can take off on. And we break that all down on WKYC.com. The axle, by the way, is the most difficult jump. So if you want to check that out, check that out on WKYC.com. And you might be interested to check that out because last night, a 15-year-old figure skater from Russia changed the sport forever at the Winter Olympics, did something that no woman has ever done at the Winter Olympics. She did it twice in one routine. Russian figure skater Kamila Valieva, she became the first woman to complete a successful quad jump. So that's the number of rotations, 4 rotations. And she then helped the Russian Olympic Committee to the gold medal in team figure skating. And then she did it again. She did it twice, okay? So she did a quad salcho, and then she followed that up with a quad toe, triple toe combination. On both of them, she held her hands over her head, and she looked like a spinning top in the air, and it was quite impressive. Speaking of figure skating and impressive people, on my podcast this week I talk with 1960 Olympic gold medalist Carol Heiss-Jenkins. We talk all about the 2022 Winter Games and breaking down that field of competition. I'll tell you this, she did say that the women's Team USA figure skating team did need to wash out for the Russians, and obviously that proved to be true. Incredible feat accomplished. And by the way, Carol Heiss-Jenkins was the first woman to ever land a double axel. How about that? She's a 5-time world champ. She also got a silver medal at the 1956 Olympics, and she is right here in her own backyard. She's a Northeast Ohio native. So we talk all about what the field of competition looks like for figure skating, which has a lot of events kicking off today. Over the next week, it's going to be big for figure skating. So if you want to check that out, head to WKYC.com/3 things to know. You can find it on every podcast platform, also on the WKYC YouTube page, and then tomorrow it will be on the WKYC Instagram page. All right, that's it for your 3 News Now update today for Monday, February 7th. I will see you back here tomorrow with more 3 News Now.